Aiden Chiles, 150 to 1 odds to win the Heisman. Who cares? We're going to find out the road for him to win that trophy with our guy Odell Bretton Jr. and then talk some senior day. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON. That's all one word, LOCKEDON, for $20 off your first purchase. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you so much for chewing up some of your day with us here at Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white 5 days a week. Please rate, review, subscribe, comment below on YouTube, and I'll just do whatever makes you happy. And if that includes reaching out to us at lockedonspartans@gmail.com, feel free to do that with any questions or comments. Now, guys, it's been a little bit since we've talked football here. It's been a few episodes. Basketball's taken up a lot. Hockey's taken up a lot. So naturally, we're going to do an overcorrection here. And screw it. We're talking about how Aiden Chiles can just win the freaking Heisman Trophy. We are just going for it. Now, this is crazy because on FanDuel, he is at 150 to 1 to win this trophy. So we need some things to go our way here, guys. We need some good breaks. We need even better coaching. We need even better play on the field. We also need a little bit of propaganda to go our way. So without further ado, hey, Chief of Propaganda, how we doing over there? You ready to get Aiden Chiles Heisman over here?
Sheehan, I am doing absolutely fantastic. It's a beautiful, let's call it spring. I think we've officially reached the point where we're in spring, and I appreciate you having me on. And yeah, I think it's time to kind of get the football gears in motion here as spring ball gets ready to kick off in a couple days.
I could smell the pigskin in the air. It's going to be fantastic. So this is also nice timing, too, because not too long ago, the fine folks over at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, keep in mind, they released their Heisman odds for this upcoming fall. Aiden Chiles, a launch shot. I'm talking a launch shot at 150 to 1 odds. Now, if you don't know anything about betting, that's $1 to win $150 should he hold the trophy at the end of the year. And if you don't know anything about how long of odds that are, that's like the same odds of like me or Chief of Propaganda over here winning the Kentucky Derby this year. Like it's going to require a lot of work here, Brett. But in your wildest dreams, can you see it happening? Crazier things have happened. And we'll get into some numbers about that, but crazier things have happened here, Chief.
Yeah, I definitely think, obviously, the odds are what they are, and we can dive deep into that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the fact that there are odds gives him a chance to win the Heisman. And I think we're going to lay out a pretty decent path of what needs to happen for that to occur.
Now, let's talk about what doesn't need to happen. You know, there's a lot of like predetermined notions out there that people think have to happen in order to win the Heisman. Like, hey, well, you got to make the college football playoff in order to win the Heisman. Jaden Daniels didn't last year. Caleb Williams didn't go to the college football playoff. Lamar Jackson back in the day, he didn't. You can captain a 9-win team in the regular season, a 10-win team in the regular season, and still win the Heisman. Winning is important. Let's not get it twisted, but you don't have to go like 12-0 or 11-1. You also don't have to start the year as a massive favorite to be considered. And this is maybe bad timing because, Chief, last year, all the finalists had 20 to 1 or better odds. Okay. But if you go even further back, like the year prior, Max Duggan, the TCU quarterback, he was a finalist. He didn't even have odds in my research. The year before that, Kenny Pickett, he entered the year at 100 to 1 odds. He ended the year as a Heisman finalist. So you can start way back in the field and then work your way to a New York invitation. And you also don't have to be an upperclassman. Like the first 72 years of the Heisman Trophy, no sophomore ever won. And then Tim Tebow broke that. And since then, Lamar Jackson has won it as a sophomore. Bryce Young, Caleb Williams have won it as a sophomore. So we're just breaking down barriers right here. Again, guys, do I think that Chiles will for sure win the Heisman? No, absolutely not. And I know that, it might be too little too late to say that. There's already some people out there that are probably thinking that, oh my God, we're guaranteeing a Heisman, but we're just going to break down some barriers here one at a time. Is that fair or foul, Chief?
More than fair.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So what works in MSU's favor here, Chief? Which one of these do you think gives Chiles the best shot to be this dark horse candidate at the Heisman? The schedule is nice. The first 4 games, gettable. The next 4, kind of tough, but hey, if you win those games, or just 2 of those games, that could be your Heisman moment. And then the end of the season, very gettable. If you squint, 9 or 10 wins isn't out of reason. Also, you brought over one of his favorite targets, because what is a quarterback without his favorite red zone target in Jack Velling? And then hopefully you get a run game that's improved from last year. You are coming in with your offensive coordinator and your head coach that you committed to and played under last year. Which one of those gives you the most hope for Aiden Chiles next year to hit the ground running towards Heisman glory here?
Yeah, I got to say, it's got to be the schedule for me, just based off of, like you said, the first 4 games there are more than gettable. That's where he can kind of find his footing, and doesn't really need to dominate all that much, just needs to produce at a level that gets us 4 wins. And then as you move into the teeth of the schedule, I mean, obviously the games I look at that you need to win 2 out of the 3 are Ohio State, Oregon, and obviously Michigan.
Yeah.
You win 2 of those 3, then you really start to pick up steam, and that 150 probably drops down to 50, something like that. Like I mean, there's going to be a large shift in the odds if you can win 1 or preferably 2 of those games.
The opportunity is there in October, right? Just like the games you said. I do worry, and I guess it's ridiculous to say this is what I worry about at 150-1 odds. But after that, it's home against Indiana, at Illinois, home against Purdue, home against Rutgers. If you're putting on the final touches of a Heisman season, boy, we need some nationally televised games, I feel like, just for the national media to watch. I don't know if any of those 4 games will be on it. So, no, it's not going to be Michigan State's play. It's not going to be Aiden Chiles' play, why he won't win the Heisman. I'm just actually going to blame the end of the schedule. Yes, those are gettable games, but is the whole college football media world going to be watching these games on Big Ten Network? I think that's a good cop-out to, explain why he might not win the Heisman. Is that... Yeah, I feel pretty good with that. We're not going to look inward and blame the coaches or the players yet. I'm just going to blame the TV station that these are on. I feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah, I think there's even some comparables to Kenny Pickett and Max Duggan there. It's the fact that they showed out in their more nationally televised games, and then obviously based off the schedule and the way the networks are set up and where the games are played and what time slot. And I mean, there's so many external factors. It's, hey, are you getting the national audience to see, like, hey, that's the guy? And so it's going to be tough in that regards, but at the same time, if you get the work done in October, it's going to be, okay, can you just maintain that?
I think we're going to go $5 on this. I don't know what that payout would be. That's way too much math for me over here. 5 times 150. That's probably anywhere between $200 and $1,000, but I think that'd be a pretty handsome payday. I don't know. It's just worth throwing a few shekels on there for us. Now, Brett, I did join another podcast last night, the Michigan podcast. Go ahead and check that out. And at the end of that show, I was asked, hey, what are you looking forward to the most for football season? I had such a lame answer, but I think it resonates with a lot of fans. I'm just looking forward to smiling, Chief, because look, even if Chiles doesn't win the Heisman here, I'm just excited for something different. Just on the field, the coaching, but specifically the quarterback play too. We're going to get a nice electric quarterback, an arm that can throw 20-yard line to 20-yard line, a guy that could use his legs. Is it going to be this 11-1 season? Look, probably not. But man, if not for nothing else, it's going to be a little more entertaining this fall. What are you just looking forward to the most this upcoming fall as we sit still months ahead of kickoff? What's got that twinkle in your eye over there, though?
Yeah, I would say it's almost like just hitting reset on the program. You had the insane high of 2021 coming off of really 3 straight disappointing, just weird seasons with Coach D'Antonio leaving. Then you get hit with the global pandemic. And then you come into 2021, you have zero idea what's going to happen, and you win 11 football games. Then you come down to 2022, you win 5 games. You have the tunnel incident. And then obviously last year, you have everything that went on. I don't even get into it, but I think just hitting reset and just kind of being able to go to a game and just having an understanding of, okay, like this is a new regime. We have a new strategy. It's kind of like going back to the D'Antonio style of football where it's just going to be, listen, I don't even know who we're recruiting right now. And that's kind of nice for a change. Sure. It's like, okay, we get to actually focus on football and not, did we make a top 10 list of a kid who's never going to come here? So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking forward to just being in Spartan Stadium and not having kind of this gray cloud of controversy and kind of the memes coming to life of from rival fan bases saying, "Oh, your coach is a con artist" and all that, and it's slowly coming true. I'm excited
Yeah,
that's gone, and it's
that
just
was
like,
tough.
yeah. And another thing I'm excited for is the fact that, listen, we can't ignore that the program down the street, they have had one of the best runs in college football recently, and
Certainly.
that started to shift as well. It's like, hey, that kind of Jim Harbaugh is gone, so we have a chance now to kind of reclaim our spot.
It's a hard reset, much needed. So as we, close the book on this conversation, talk about the next chapter for Michigan State football, we're gonna switch it up here, talk about one of the last chapters for this era in Michigan State basketball, as we will talk senior day. But first, you need to talk all your ears off about Gametime, the greatest ticketing app out there. And if you don't believe me, just go ahead and check it out for yourselves. Gametime is all about saving you money. If you know you're going to go to a concert, theatrical performance, or hey, even a sporting event later in the week, just hop on the Gametime app throughout the week and check out their flash deals. All right, they make it so simple. And one of my favorite parts about Gametime, they give you the upfront total cost. Nothing grinds my gears more than getting on a ticketing app or a website, seeing, hey, sweet, $40 tickets, and then you go to check out, and then all of a sudden it's $617 with all the ridiculous fees and nonsense. No. Gametime shoots it to you straight. They save you money, and they also just tell you how much you're going to actually spend. The greatest ticketing app out there. And you know what? They're going to save you money right off the bat, too. Because when you download the Gametime app, create an account, use promo code Locked On. That's all one word, Locked On, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code Locked On for $20 off. Download Gametime today. It's last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Now let's drag the one, the only MSU chief of propaganda back here because, oh God. Brett, is this a must-win game for Michigan State basketball? I'm not going to sleep tonight. I'm scared. I'll admit it. I'm horrified. I'm scared.
I'm going to say yes, but there's a caveat I'm going to add. I think the rest of the games we play this year are must-wins.
Okay.
Like, I don't think the feeling that we have right now leading into Boo Booey's 17th appearance in the Breslin, I don't think, like, that's the end of it. It's like, hey, can we go to Assembly Hall and win? What are we going to do in the Big Ten tournament? We're probably going to need a win there. And then from there, you make it into the tournament. Can't really afford a loss there, or your season's done.
I would say, yeah, the tournament games are going to be must-win. Yeah. God, so it truly feels like March Madness starts on March 6th, though. Like, this, because, well, hey, look, they are on the right side of the bubble here. Depending on who you look at, like Joe Lunardi, the most popular bracketologist, he has Michigan State as a 9 seed right now. 131 Sports, the one that we drop on here all the time, they're one of the most accurate out there. They have Michigan State as a 10 seed. But man, you lose this game on Wednesday night. Now you're probably part of like the last 4 buys or the last 4 in, or dare I say, some bracketologists might even have you on the first 4 out. It gets to scary season if you don't win this one. Now, I will say, if you just looked at a blind resume of the team coming in on Wednesday, you'd feel pretty good because first and foremost, the computers have you winning by 6 points roughly. That's what Bart Torvik has this game at. Michigan State winning by 6 points. Keep in mind, hey, the other team also has Ryan Langborg out, okay? One of their best 3-point shooters. He missed last game. He might miss this game. Chris Collins said that he might come back, all right? Their 7-foot center also went out with an injury last game. It's undetermined if he will play in this game too. Ty Berry, their second best 3-point shooter, he is out for the rest of the season. And Boo Booey is nursing a wrist injury. But let's not ignore that last name we just said. Like, if it was any other team that said, hey, they're missing 3 players potentially and their star is hampered with a wrist injury, you'd be thinking, okay, I'm feeling pretty good about this game on senior night especially. But Chief, it's Boo Booey. Like, is that's the scariest name that I could read off to you, correct? Like, I'm not too crazy in being this shook about Northwestern coming in.
No, it's almost it's hard to compare. You think when you mention Boo Booey's wrist injury, I think of Michael Jordan's flu game. I think of Adrian Peterson coming back in 4 months from a torn ACL. Like, right. I mean, they could put Boo Booey's wrist up there. And listen, we've dealt with opposing players being hurt and the coach playing coy, and they come out and play somehow 41 minutes and 40 minutes at Seton Hall. So yeah, I don't think it doesn't matter who, as long as Boo Booey is on that Northwestern roster, I will never feel confident that it's going to be a gimme game. I do expect us to win. I do think that we're the better basketball team, but Boo Booey is just like, he's the boogeyman.
It's probably explains to like how unwell I am mentally. Because yeah, just like you said, I'd almost feel better if he wasn't injured coming into this game. Kind of like how I look back at the last Sweet 16 game and like I'm sorry to bring up horrible memories, Spartan fans, but when Marquise Noel left the game with an injury, you kind of knew it was over. Like this fairy tale was going to happen because how many times have we seen it? I feel like just injured players having this heroic run and just dragging their team to the finish line of a game. But look, beyond that, Northwestern, they do some things pretty well, right? They're a top 10 3-point shooting team in the country. Now, obviously, that's predicated on Ty Berry being in the game, which he will not be in the game. Ryan Langborg potentially out of the game, but nevertheless, a good shooting team, really good offensive team. Well, that said, with Matthew Nicholson out, their center, they're not really big at all. And we hear up and down a lot about, hey, it's got to be the right matchup for Xavier Booker to play. He's been playing really good lately. I feel like this is going to be a good matchup for Xavier Booker here. Like, that is probably what I'm going to be looking forward to the most here on Wednesday night, other than hopefully Michigan State winning. But inside the game, is there anything else that you are going to have a close eye on?
Yeah, you know what? I think the Booker angle is very interesting to me. Not only for the fact that he's been playing so well, you can start to see things are coming together with him, and Izzo starting to give him more of a leash. But I think the fact that this is all coming together, and he potentially is going to have his best game, hopefully, on senior night. And the fact it's sort of a passing of the torch of sorts. It's like, hey, like, he's one of the most prized recruits we've ever had. The talent is evident. I mean, when he was going against Zach Edey and just draining threes in his face, like, it gives you that Michigan State hope that you've experienced basically your whole life is like, hey, we just have better dudes than you. And he's one of those guys. So to me, it's going to be seeing that symbolic passing of the torch, and hopefully he plays his best game and kind of carries us to a win, because in my opinion, you win on Wednesday, you're going to be in the tournament. It's whether you're going to be in Dayton or if you're going to lock into just firmly in the field.
Yeah, because we were talking with Joe Cook-Sugart. He's the guy that heads up 131 Sports. And in our conversations last few weeks, he said, like, you need 2 more wins to feel, quote unquote, comfortable. I, in my non-expert opinion, think that, yes, if you do win Wednesday, just like you said, against Northwestern, you probably can take 2 more losses. It will just be a sweaty Selection Sunday. Like, I personally over here would like to see 3 wins to feel, quote unquote, comfortable, but I'm a lot more panicky than a lot of other fans out there. The rational mind, the bracketologists that we've spoken to say that 2 more wins is what you need to relax on Selection Sunday. So it's a big one. It's a massive opportunity. It's on senior night. Can't go out with the loss here. And hey, guys, I know that we've been pretty down on this team the last week and a half. I think rightfully so. It hasn't been necessarily a great stretch, but we're going to mix it up. We're going to try to be optimistic here because, again, we're honoring 6 seniors here. We're going to go through and read off, hey, some of our best moments. We're going to start with the guy who I think is going to get the loudest ovation here. Not Tyson Walker, not AJ Hoggard, but Steven Izzo, I think, will bring the Breslin Center house down. And great time to talk about it. Brennan Quinn of The Athletic wrote a beautiful, beautiful piece on Steven Izzo, Tom Izzo, the adoption, finding himself. It was a fantastic piece. But let's just start with Steven Izzo. What is your favorite moment of Steven Izzo in his time at Michigan State here, Chief? I think it could be an easy answer, but let's hear it from you.
Yeah, obviously you got to think about the bucket he made and kind of getting the and one. I think that's the easy one. But for me, when I kind of think about Steven Izzo, it's not even the fact that he's played for his dad and all this stuff, and every time he gets in the game, his Coach Izzo gets emotional. I think it's just the fact that it's just a kind of full circle moment to just see him out there, because you've seen him at all these Final Fours, you've seen the family and all that stuff, and I don't know, it's just like he's kind of like Michigan State's like second son in a way. It's like he's kind of our guy. He's probably the most beloved Spartan athlete I can really think of. So yeah, it's gonna be a very cool moment to see him kiss a Spartan head, and sure, you're gonna have all the alumni there and everything, and Coach Izzo is gonna be more emotional than usual. But no, it's gonna be a very cool moment, and I think it's gonna bring something much needed to this kind of odd senior night.
Yeah, definitely. And look, that's obviously the correct answer, is that bucket against Rutgers, and thank God he scored that. But also earlier this year, and God, I wish I remember what actual game it was, but when he went to the bench because he cut his eye open, it's like I almost feel like Tom was more happy and proud about that moment than any basket could have ever made him, because that's just tough nose. That's blue collar, son. Look at you go. We got 5 more seniors to talk about with some great moments here. But first, need to talk your ears off about eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, what brings home the winning trophy, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts. I'll say that again. Over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You will always find exactly what you are looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or it's your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Now let's bring the chief of propaganda back. He goes by Odell Bretton Jr. on Twitter. Now, who do you think gets like the second loudest ovation here on senior night? Let's play this guessing game instead of who we'll talk about next.
Oh, that's tough because there's really, to me, there's 3 options. It's either going to be Davis Smith. You're looking at Tyson Walker. I think Malik Hall. I'm going to go with Malik Hall.
Okay.
Just based off of his recent performances, kind of everything he's been through, and the fact he's really become like the vocal and emotional leader.
And so, favorite moment all time of Malik Hall. Do you have one that comes to mind? Because I certainly have one that's going away as, you know, one of my favorite moments for sure.
I'm going to go Seton Hall.
Yeah, God, that was either 17 years ago or 6 months ago. I have no concept of time ever since COVID happened. But man, what quite literally a perfect night. I don't think he missed a shot against Seton Hall on Miles Powell night, to make a second reference to that here today.
Yeah, he was just that game was just an incredible performance, and it's funny. We've always been yearning for more from Malik, and over the past 6 weeks or so, you've got that on almost a consistent basis. It's like, hey, he's finally rounded into this player that consistently good, I would say even more than good, and rounded into leadership form, and it's very cool to see.
Yeah, and he's a tough player too, and that's why my favorite moment isn't anything from this year specifically. Like, yes, that dunk against Michigan was great. He's had some great performances, but I gotta scroll the clock back to last year, first home game since the tragedy at Michigan State. He throws down a dunk where he almost hits his head on the rim against Indiana, and it was a cool play first and foremost, but it also spoke to just how tough this kid is, because he fought through back injury, eventually a foot injury that he had to have, surgery performed on over the offseason. But just a tough kid through and through, battled injuries left and right throughout his career. And look, I'm sure when he was out with an injury last year, he probably looked around and said, well, damn it, I know I'm hurt right now, but I need to play in order to try to help this team as much as I can. So hopefully he gets a massive ovation. I mean, I hope all these kids get a massive, ovation, obviously. I know this hasn't been the season anyone has wanted, but still, like, these guys are hardworking. They're going to try their best, you would hope, tomorrow. But I think we take it now to another guy that's nursing a lot of injuries, that's playing great, Tyson Walker. Do you have a favorite Tyson Walker moment? Because this is the hard paradox with Tyson Walker. Like, any outstanding individual game he had, MSU would lose the game. They've only won once when he scores 25 plus points. That was the Baylor game this year. So which makes it almost hard to find your favorite moment with Tyson Walker, because ouch. Anytime he shines, they lose.
Yeah, it is kind of an interesting situation that that's developed with him scoring 1 million points and us losing. The first one that comes to my mind was Illinois last year, where he hit 7 straight shots, and I mean he carried us in that game, and we ended up losing it. But
the Iowa game too, yeah, that was brutal.
Oh man, it's just
fun times.
You know what? I'm gonna go with Nebraska last year, when we were kind of getting housed in Lincoln, and then Tominaga started trash talking or whatever, and Tyson mouthed to him something. I know there's varying reports of what he said. I won't repeat it on the show, but just kind of that moment, then he went off and just carried us to a win. That was one of the times where he puts up 1 million points and we win the game, and I think that was a huge moment for that team. So that's going to be my answer there. I mean, he's such a fun player to watch. It's just, I know. I will miss watching him.
just his lightning quick hands is what I'll miss the most. I mean, just his steals are second to none. Like if he wanted to transition into a life of crime after playing here, like he'd be a great pickpocketer. He would just clean up in Times Square or wherever there's most tourists to absolutely rob. If that's a career that he would choose, because he would be fantastic at it, quite frankly. I got to go with the 3-pointer over Purdue 2 years ago. I know that might be an obvious answer, but I do love the Nebraska game answer. And thank you very much for not repeating what he said to Tominaga, because this is a family show after all. And those were not family words he had. Now let's talk about his running mate here, AJ Hoggard. Favorite AJ memory over the years, because assuming he can come back technically, but by all accounts, it seems like that this will be it for AJ Hoggard this year.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting one. I think, to me, my favorite AJ Hoggard moment is the round of 32 game versus Duke, where he kind of down the stretch really took the team on his shoulders. And I mean, he was just, every time he got the ball, he was attacking the rim. He was playing great defense. And I mean, him and Bingham really brought us back in the game and gave us a lead and a chance to win that game down the stretch. And to me, it was from that moment, it's just like expecting him to be the next great Michigan State point guard. And obviously it didn't necessarily happen, but I think looking back at the totality of his career, that game really stood out to me as somebody who kind of lived up to the moment and performed at a high level and gave us a chance to win a really good basketball game.
It really bums me out that he will probably not get flowers for what he did against Kansas State last year, because he took that game under his wing and balled out. And of course, when it ends in a loss, like it's hard to remember that performance, but he played outstanding in that Sweet 16 game. But I'm going to go with my favorite memory the game before. And I know that on the box score, like he didn't score a ton of points. He wasn't like, 15 assists or anything crazy like that, but he had Tyler Kolek fighting demons from the start of that game. Like he put him in a sarcophagus for the full 40 minutes. So it wasn't even just an offensive performance from AJ, which he played fine. It wasn't like he was a dud on offense. But God, that defensive performance was something to behold to get you to the Sweet 16. So, hey, hopefully there's more good moments for AJ Hoggard. And also another guy that can come back, but we'll see if he actually does, Mady Sissoko. Chief, is it just as simple as the Kentucky game last year for favorite Mady moment? Because for me, it is.
Yeah, it's either that or Gonzaga. I mean, basically back-to-back games there. And I was actually watching highlights of that earlier, the Kentucky game, and he had a steal against, I think, Sheboy at about the three-point line. And he did like a Euro step at half court.
Yes.
Dude, it was – I think I give credit to Ant Wright here. He came up with the nickname of Shaq Soko, and that really – like, that was a thing for a couple games there. And, again, it's kind of like Hoggard. Like, you saw these flashes of this guy – has that greatness of a Spartan in him, where he can go over and just physically dominate and all that stuff. And obviously inconsistent performances kind of thereafter. But those two games I'll always fondly remember. I mean, he went against two of the best players in America and really won those matchups. I mean, he went head to head with Drew Timme on an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, no kidding.
And really, really fun player when he's kind of clicking like that.
I hope he gets a lot of reception. And obviously, look, we've had things to say about Mady. It has not been a senior season to remember, needless to say, but it's also important to remember, and Robbie Hummel talked about this, we've tried to sprinkle this in throughout the season, just how hard it has to be for him to play. Like thousands of miles from home, going through two tragedies, one in the offseason with the passing of his father, and then during the season, passing of his grandmother, and really not being around anyone that is of blood relation to you. Like, that has got to be incredibly tough. Quite literally cannot imagine what that's like. So, yes, well, we get fed up with him for, not making hook shots. Somewhere in there is a person that deserves a lot of love from Spartan Nation on this senior night. So I just want to throw that out there. I don't think anyone's going to go crazy enough and boo him or refuse to applaud, but yeah, just make sure that we have context with Mady too. And I try to remind myself of that time to time, but let's have with Davis Smith, because my easy one is quite clearly the two most buttery free throws you've ever seen in your entire life in the first half in Ann Arbor this year, when that great foul by Doug McDaniel happened. That was a nice tone setter for the rest of the game at Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, Doug McDaniel saw 0.4 and thought it was a GPA, so decided to kind of take a pause and committed a foul there, and Davis Smith came in and drained those free throws. So, yeah, it was a nice little moment there.
Oh man, that's a good one. You know what? Let's end here really quick because this is a program that we have not given enough love to here on this show. Women's basketball. Head coach Robin Freilich in her first year, which, by the way, going into this first year was picked to finish 10th in the Big Ten. And what's going to happen this week, Brett? They're going to start the Big Ten tournament on a double bye because they locked up the 4 seed. Okay, they are 22-7 right now. This is the first 20-plus win season in the last 5 years, the most wins in 8 years. They've had a season with injury issues up and down. And, well, they're also projected to be a 7 seed in all 3 women's bracketologies that I have seen out there. This is a fantastic job by Robin Freilich. We were very high on her going into this tenure. I did not know it was going to happen this fast, though. Like, this is outstanding work by Robin Freilich. Outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very fun team to watch. Like, I don't know how often people watch the women's team, but I found a newfound love for kind of women's basketball. I think,
yeah,
I know we talked about this in one of our chats recently. It's the fact that I think the game flow of women's games is so much better than the men's. I mean, there's more ball movement, and listen, you watch Michigan State's team, and that's exactly what you see. You see a lot of movement, great defense, and listen, they played a game in Ann Arbor where they were down pretty big in the first half there, and they made a nice comeback in the second quarter to kind of get it within striking distance. And obviously the second half, it was I think it was the day after the men's game, and similar story. It's like second half we dominated. So yeah, I think that the job she's done is absolutely incredible, and I hope more Spartans can kind of appreciate the job she's done. It's very, very difficult, and
yeah,
listen, the sky's the limit for this program.
It just gets me excited too, because this doesn't seem flash in the pan if you look at Freilich's whole resume, right? Like, she did fantastic work at Bowling Green. She obviously was like the elite of the elite when she was over at Ashland too. Like, winning is in her blood. And well, she's kind of the hometown kid too, from Okemos. Didn't play at Michigan State, but it's not far-fetched to think that, hey, you know what, maybe grew up a Michigan State fan too. Like, just the fact that there could be some longevity with this too and an upward trajectory, I think it's worth, shining a big spotlight on the women's program as they start their Big Ten tournament, not on Wednesday, not on Thursday, but Friday, because, my God, they got the double bye. Because that's just the no-nonsense organization Freilich and company is going to run over here, which is nice.
Yeah, and honestly, I would be fascinated to hear kind of how that coaching search and really all the other coaching searches went with Alan Haller, because you look at his hires,
he's
they're
acing
all.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't. There's got to be a category higher than acing it. I mean,
right.
I can go into a deep dive here, but people can look at. I mean, look at men's tennis. Like, they hire Coach Judas and Juden, and they just got a $10 million donation. And they,
not bad.
Two international recruits here. One of them is named Thanos, and he's from Greece. I mean, you don't get more Spartan than that. They have a prodigy from Spain coming in, and it's hockey. I go on forever, but yeah, Freilich's right up there. I mean, she has a potential to take over as potentially the best hire he's made so far.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh man, well, hopefully the good vibes can keep going tomorrow night, Wednesday, which we will be back. We're going to talk about the game, obviously, tomorrow. It's going to be me, Carter Elliott of Sleepers Media, recapping the game tomorrow around 10-ish. I'm scared. I'm not going to lie. I'm horrified. I will not sleep. I will be probably shaking the entire day Wednesday because, well, but for all intents and purposes, it's March Madness time. So, but hey, yeah. Chief, thanks a lot for joining, man. You truly are the best. Absolutely love you, man. Thanks a lot for carving out some time here to talk with us.
Yeah, always appreciate you having me on. It's always fun to talk to you and about Michigan State. And yeah, I'm excited to hear Carter Elliott's episode tomorrow. Huge respect for him and
the best.
Wizzy, yeah, and what they do. And yeah, I got to give a shout out to kind of Carter and their pickup basketball team. I think that's been a really fun story for me to follow along with, and the fact he's kind of channeled his inner Trey Holloman. It's he's been playing like him. So shout out to Carter, and I hope that keeps going.
Amen. That's what I'm talking about. Well, folks, just like I said, we'll be back tomorrow talking about whatever transpired on the court for senior night. Let's all hold hands, close our eyes, and just get through this together. All right, love you all. Go green. Oh, God, I'm so